It was a Halloween horror when a teenage girl was murdered and found a month later with her body surrounded by strange satanic objects. The case of Jeannette DePalma has remained unsolved for 50 years. Many believe her to be the victim of a satanic ritual. This case is shrouded in mystery, but two authors who've worked on the case for decades and have also written a book on it may have the answers. Stay tuned to know more. Jeannette DePalma was born on August 3, 1956, and lived an upper-middle-class life in the New Jersey suburb of Springfield Township. The DePalmas raised Jeannette and her siblings in a devout Christian household. They lived in a beautiful house on Clearwater Road, where the Manhattan skyline was visible on a clear day. However, it was far enough from the hustle and bustle of the Big Apple to make the crime rate nearly non-existent. Jeannette was a good Christian girl, though she did have her wild side. Jeannette just turned 16 on August 3, 1972. Of course she had a bit of a wild side. She was figuring out who she was. On August 7th, Jeannette told her mother that she was taking the train to a friend's house, but Jeannette never made it to her friend's place, and she would not be seen alive again. Her mother grew worried as Jeannette was late to return home that night. More worried still as she received no call from her daughter. And then, finally reaching her breaking point, she reported her daughter as a missing person. The family had no idea what a terrible journey they had set upon that night, nor what evils had been inflicted on their daughter. On September 19, 1972, a dog returned from a frolic in a wooded area with an object in its mouth and started playing with it on the lawn of a nearby apartment building in Springfield, New Jersey. Moments later, the pet's owner went to inspect what appeared to be a large bone and screamed when she realized it was a human arm, according to police reports. The Springfield Police Department was called to the scene, and attending officers later recalled what they saw upon arriving at the woman's home. Officer Schwartz said in the report, "She took me to the rear door of her apartment, and in a bluish bag she handed me the arm of a female, the lower left arm. On the fingernails was a whitish nail polish." Search parties then scoured parts of Hoodile Quarry, known as the Devil's Teeth, behind the residential building. It wasn't long before they stumbled across an upper arm bone, and then the rest of the corpse, face down and fully clothed in a small clearing at the top of a steep hill. It was surrounded by wooden crosses and logs positioned in a coffin pattern. Other eyewitnesses' accounts suggest that there was a pentagram and other occult objects in the makeshift coffin. The body was so badly decomposed that an initial cause of death could not be ascertained. In fact, it took dental records to definitively identify the body as that of Jeannette DePalma. But once investigators were sure that they had found her remains, the media had a field day with the speculation. The officer determined that an autopsy could not be performed because of the marked state of decomposition. Jeannette's bones did not show any nick marks from stab wounds, bullet wounds, or any other fractures or breaks. A toxology screen showed no illicit drugs in Jeannette's system, but did detect a strangely high level of lead. For some reason lost to time, the cause of death was eventually posited to be strangulation, though there is no evidence that would corroborate this. A cause of death could not be determined, so it was listed as suspicious rather than a homicide. At the time of Jeannette DePalma's death, the infamous satanic panic of the 1980s was yet to come. But still, the publication of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible, the popularity of the film Rosemary's Baby, and the freshness of the Manson family murders contributed to the growing belief in a sinister force from the underworld. The DePalmas were closely tied to their faith, and as such, police initially believed that Jeannette's death was part of an occult ritual. It didn't help that at the time, the nearby Watchung Reservation was an area commonly used by neo-pagans to practice their naturalistic faiths. Police were so convinced that there was a connection between the two that they even brought a witch to investigate the case further. Whenever someone commits an act of violence, people look for any sign that the devil made them do it. And the media ran with every bit of speculation surrounding the alleged satanic sacrifice of the pretty young teenager. Newspapers were having a field day, adding words like sacrificed, witchcraft, rituals, Satan, and many more on the front page headlines. Of course, the satanic ritual murder theory is the most popular one, but others have tried looking at more realistic ways Jeannette DePalma could have died. The most common rumor is that Jeannette actually overdosed that night, and her friends dumped her body on Devil's Teeth in a panic. This is a theory we hear again and again when a teenager is found dead under unknown circumstances. Except in this case, the only thing in Jeannette's toxology screen was an abnormally high level of lead. If she had overdosed on something, it would have been so unusual that a normal tox screen wouldn't catch it, which seems implausible. Another theory holds that Jeannette was the victim of a crime of opportunity, and that she may have been killed by the same man who killed Marianne Pryor and Lorraine Kelly, both of whom were found in heavily wooded areas like Jeannette DePalma. Interest in the case actually started dying down until the late 1990s. With no more leads, the police closed the case until the late 1990s, when Mark Morin from the magazine Weird NJ decided to take a look. The editor, Mark Morin, teamed up with writer Jesse Pollock to write a book on the subject named Death on the Devil's Teeth, published in 2015. It also presented reliable stories about Jeannette's murder, but nothing definite. The authors found that police had lost or destroyed most of the files and that the locals he approached seemed too frightened to talk about the case. After publishing an article, Morin received a plethora of anonymous letters offering chilling information about Jeannette's murder. One said, "I was a young teenager when the discovery of Jeannette DePalma happened and lived in the next town. About 2 years prior, there was much talk in my school about a cult in the surrounding area. They must have let it be known in the area that they planned to kill a child on or about Halloween, either by kidnapping and sacrificing them or by poison. I remember being anxious about this because I went trick-or-treating in those days." After those letters, the authors started asking the right questions, like why were Jeannette's cross necklace and purse stolen from her body? Why did so many police officials insist for almost half a century that Jeannette's case file and evidence had been destroyed in 1999 by flooding caused by Hurricane Floyd? Weird NJ made a commitment to continue looking into this tragic case back then, and they are still looking for leads. In 2019, a Union County judge rejected a request from the retired private investigator Ed Salzano to perform DNA tests on the clothes of Jeannette DePalma. Salzano said that he begged the prosecutor's office to reopen the case so that the public may come forward with information. But the judge ruled that Salzano had no standing to bring a lawsuit because he had no legal relationship to DePalma. The same year, the two authors obtained a case file with photos of the body, which cast doubt on the cult theory. An expert in satanic imagery said that the arrangements of rocks, sticks, and logs appeared to be random and not the work of devil worshippers. Today, a Facebook page, Justice for Jeannette DePalma, is dedicated to keeping her memory alive. There is also a GoFundMe page for her. The organizers are also continuing to look for clues in hopes of someday finding out how she died, even as the case approaches the half-century mark. Was Jeannette sacrificed to a Satan ritual, or was it murder? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and also share it with your friends. Do check out some of our other videos and make sure to subscribe to this channel for your regular dose of whodunits. See you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay warm, and don't get any crazy ideas.